I'm kind of the opposite. I don't do anything well in the morning.
Yeah.
Because I don't like
See,
it.
so you should be happy we scheduled this right now.
I should be. I should be happy. I am happy. I'm more happy than I'm sad.
All right, I'll take that.
Okay. So are you ready to
Probably not. But
talk
let's
out
go.
loud? Belshazzar is totally lit. He's ready.
Like lit meaning
I don't
like he's gonna fall over.
I don't understand how the kids take regular words that mean like regular things,
Okay.
and then all of a sudden they mean.
Yeah, but I'm not a kid.
I know, but I'm just explaining to you. I just use that word, and I don't know what it means.
What it means? Okay.
I mean, I have an idea, and so does
I
Belshazzar.
do feel like. Oh, I guess when we start, we can talk about.
We can talk about Bill.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You ready?
Do you want the authentic answer to that, or the?
Are you ready
the
enough?
rallying?
Are you
I'm ready enough.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Big Idea Podcast. My name is Eric Bramlett, and I am joined by
Tammy.
And Belshazzar is here.
Belshazzar.
Yeah. And that must mean that it's Christmas, because that's the only time that Belshazzar comes, parading out.
I do feel the need to apologize that we scheduled this last minute, so did not have the opportunity to pull off the whole organizing the Christmas sweater thing.
It's true.
So we're trying to make up for it as best as we can.
We're trying to make up for it with a fully lit and ready to rock Belshazzar
Yes.
and this wacky hat.
So hopefully that does it for you.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like the Christmas spirit.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas indeed. We are excited about Christmas. Christmas is a great time of year. You walk into any department store and they're playing songs about Jesus accidentally, and that's a huge win. And we get just a truckload of people who want to come and experience church, and it's a fascinating
and we
paradox.
play songs about Jesus
and
too.
we play songs about Jesus too, so it works out, and it's a beautiful thing. So it's an exciting time to be programming creative content, and we've got a very exciting series that is called Above All Names.
And why is it called that, Eric?
Well, it's called that because it is based on a song, and I'm very excited about this. That in May, when we kind of mapped out the entire year, we thought, it would be really cool for Christmas if community music could come up with a song for Christmas that we can make available to our attenders.
Great idea.
Yeah, it is a great idea. And believe it or not, with everything else that's been going on, with community music, recording a new EP, we have managed to successfully write a song. We'll be able to show you.
And what's that song called?
Well, it's called Above All Names.
Look at that.
Yeah. So it's synergy is what we're trying to say. And so this series is based on a particular part of Scripture that is related to the Christmas story and related to the names of Jesus. And then in an additional awesome, wonderful thing, we'll have a song that we'll be able to celebrate, sing together at our locations, make available hopefully on iTunes and all that good stuff. And so we're working on that side, but on this side, we're going to kind of lay out what the overall series will look like from a teaching perspective. So, Tammy, where are we headed with Above All Names?
Well, this is going to be a fantastic series that is really about the person of Jesus, who he is and who he wants to be in our lives. And we're going to look at this prophecy from Isaiah that was 700 years before the birth of Jesus, where he describes who this Messiah is going to be using these phrases: Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. So
very good.
I love it's going to be a whole Christmas about Jesus.
It's hard to go wrong at Christmas if you focus on Jesus.
It really is.
It's really hard to go wrong
anytime
yeah. if you focus on Jesus, but in particular, we're going to enjoy this. As opposed to, say, Rudolph or Santa or some elf that has a hat whose ears are separated from the other real ears. Let's start then with week one. Now, this is a little bit different, and if you were part of the Next Level podcast, you know that the previous series actually moves into the first week of December. So we suspect that at the end of that series, we'll have lots of advertisement about the Christmas series, because it'll be December 3rd. But this is actually December 10th for us, so we are way, way, way into Christmas. And we start with Wonderful Counselor.
Wonderful Counselor. And it's interesting, as we were preparing for this, there is actually a nuance in the original text that most translations decide to go ahead with the Wonderful Counselor translation, but it actually, like, some of the preliminary stuff we were looking at, and we're having our research team look into it more, is that wonderful also could stand on its own. Like, he is wonderful.
Oh, sure. Like, it's its own. It's not it could be its own description.
Yeah. And I don't understand all the, even though I'm using words like the original language, I don't understand all the nuance. That's hopefully what our research is going to do. But so as we were looking at that, we, the normal thing, and when we've taught on this text before, we've gone really heavy more on the counselor side. But we decided this time we were going to go heavy on the wonder side. And the whole, to think about this concept of wonder, of awe. And I love the, when you think about what the Hebrew word there for that in the text means to separate or distinguish, this idea of being unique and different. And you think about stuff like, sometimes we're excited about things, or we get something new, but that always wears off. Where this idea of wonder actually deepens the more that you know and understand something. So, I mean, think about maybe like something, something like scientific, so about the universe.
Sure.
The more you really understand it, the more you're like, wow. And I think the same thing is true of Jesus.
Interesting.
Like, the more that we really kind of understand the character of who he is and who God is, like, your wonder only increases. And so this first week is really going to be about an invitation to rediscover wonder. And I think that fits into the, Christmas motif of, that's one of the things we love about kids at Christmas time is what? Because they get the wonder. A kid, really a kid anytime, like, they can like sit and stare at a bug for an hour observing it and be lost in wonder. But that seems to be something that we lose as adults. And
it fades away.
And so, like, how do we recapture that wonder? And because really what wonder leads us to is worship. And so I think this is going to be a great week. We're not going to totally ignore the counselor side of it, because I also think, Jesus is the one that kind of leads us into wonder. And, when you even look at his life, I mean, that's why, like, everybody was amazed as they,
encountered him.
Yeah, everything that he did. And it was, constantly you hear they're like, no one ever taught this way. No one's ever done these things. And he really is the one that leads us into wonder. And so as our counselor, he kind of wants to direct us and guides us to that.
Yeah, no, that's good. I like it. Yeah. Well, that's week 1, Wonderful Counselor. Week 2, December 17th, is Mighty God. So we're moving through these phrases that show up in Isaiah. Mighty God.
Yes.
I thought he was a baby. I thought he was baby Jesus.
Well, the interesting thing, and just some initial reading I thought on this, it's like you never think about, but even as a baby, Jesus was powerful. He was mighty. Because think about it, like even his birth affected the physical universe and the star coming to his, these wise men traveled from who knows how far to come see this baby. Herod is terrified and feels threatened by this baby. Yes. Shepherds abandon their flocks in the fields to come see this thing that's happened. And so the power of this child, even in the cradle, it's like he's mighty. Yeah. But then, as you kind of fast forward through his life, you just see that, like, again, his power and his mighty, his authority, his, and, ultimately his power is displayed at the cross when he lays down his life, but then he also takes it back up again. Right. And so the focus of this one, a lot of times, and we are going to go in more this direction in week 3 that we'll talk about in a second. A lot of times we tend to have a bent, and rightfully so, to speak into people's hurt or pain and how. But when we were looking at this one, we're like, no, let's like in this one, let's like ramp people up. that we're told that same power that raised Christ from the dead is available to us. So whatever it is that you've been like holding back from, or that you've been fearful of, or like, let us have the courage and step out. So this is going to be more like not so much about how that power heals us as much as that power
is available to us, and that we can access it, and we should access it.
Yes. No, so charge into whatever that thing is that you feel like God is calling you to, or that you feel that maybe is too big for you, because it might be too big for you, but you have a power available to help.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's good stuff. All right, well, week 3 then. This is kind of the double-edged sword of Christmas Eve. Now, the good news is, in other ways in which the calendar is laid out, Christmas Eve might be on a Wednesday, and so you would still kind of have your 5 and 4, right? Where you'd have your middle of the week service.
To talk about the 5 and 4.
I love the 5 and 4. And then you'd have the middle of the week Christmas Eve service, but then you'd still have Sundays on either side of it. Well, this year, Christmas Eve is on a Sunday. So the good news is it's not a 5 and 4. Maybe the stressful news, or I don't know if it's bad, because it's Christmas Eve, it's joyful, but it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a lot of work to pull off both kind of what is demanded of a Sunday experience and also Christmas Eve. And so currently the plan is to have one big idea for any of the services that take place on either the 23rd or the 24th. I think we're still working out some of the details about how that will play itself out, so there's no big announcement necessarily, but just so that you have a sense in terms of the big idea, we will not be parsing the big idea into 2 different parts for like a Sunday morning and a Christmas Eve.
And if you're feeling anxious, let's talk about the Prince of Peace.
Oh, nice. Yeah, see, it's totally connected. Christmas Eve, the Prince of Peace.
The Prince of Peace. And you might notice that we're actually flipping the order of the last 2 from the Isaiah
That's
passage.
Sacrilegious. We can't do that.
I think we've done it before.
Yeah, we probably have.
Like a decade ago.
We're still paying
But Prince
for it.
of Peace seems like the right topic to go with for Christmas Eve. And so this Prince of Peace, Jesus brings wholeness to our lives. Now remember, this will be a shorter teaching, and we also want to, both in the service planning, but also as we're even thinking about the talk, be cognizant of that there will be kids, elementary kids, students in there. And so we want to make sure that we have a little bit more attention to that than, so as you do your brainstorming of elements, and as we think about even maybe some of the examples or the stories that we tell in the talk, we want to keep that in mind. But the idea here is again, it's not going to be hard to convince anyone at the beginning of this message that the world feels a little broken.
Right.
And you look at both the time when Isaiah was writing this 700 years before Jesus was born, the world was broken. Jesus was born into a world that was broken. And we look and our world seems very broken. And but not only kind of everything that's happening out there, I think a lot of us come into with the brokenness, feeling the brokenness in our lives. And so this week will be the week where we remind ourselves that the Prince of Peace has come. And it's not, Jesus being the Prince of Peace is not dependent on everything that is happening and swirling around us. He wants to bring that peace to our souls. To our heart.
And I don't know if this will necessarily come out in the teaching, but you think about Israel's expectations of a Messiah, that they wanted that Messiah to fix the outer side,
the brokenness,
right? The brokenness outside, the king, be a king in that way, and Jesus kind of turning that, and is evidence, because sometimes I think you can look at that and go, well, I thought Jesus was the Prince of Peace, so things should be better now, and obviously the route for peace through Jesus is a completely counterculture, completely different way of thinking about what peace really is.
Yeah, because I think 2 concepts that will really come out in this one is again the concept of shalom, the idea that wholeness, completeness, that's not dependent, like the kind of peace he wants to bring is a wholeness to our person, a wholeness to ourselves. But also, the John passage where he says, in this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome this world. I have overcome, and the peace that he promises to give us in that. And so, again, we hope that however people come in, they leave with the sense of, God is with me. Yeah. And Jesus is still Emmanuel. Yeah. And so just like Christmas Eve is a time of comfort and encouragement.
And just by way of reminder, I mean, Tammy already mentioned this, but, just so that you have an understanding of the intentionality of it, we aim for that service to be a 45-minute service. We are aware that it includes the entire family. However, it's not necessarily designed to be a quote-unquote family service. If you're looking at like kind of the patterning that takes place in an orange curriculum for a family service, this isn't that kind of a service. But like Tammy said, we'll be looking for ways to intentionally include the entire family in that 45 minutes, and with the understanding that families feel weird pressures at Christmas. And if you create an event that goes longer than 45 minutes, especially when the teacher gets up and starts to talk and they're the only voice in the room, you won't be the only voice in the room, because there are kids, there are babies, there are students crying.
And some adults. It's chaos, and your Christmas attenders who maybe aren't regular attenders, they feel like a weird pressure of like they don't want to ruin the service, and so when their kids are making noise, they feel that weird pressure. Some of them do, and that's one of the reasons that we try to create an experience that gives them everything that they might be looking forward to with a Christmas Eve service, but not creating an hour and a half or even an hour experience that creates chaos for them in the seats. Mm-hmm. So that's the kind of reasoning behind that. And so as you look at that manuscript, as it gets formed and as we brainstorm those things, do keep that time frame in mind. All right. Let's move on. Everlasting Father. It's New Year's Eve. Everlasting Father.
And Jesus, the baby,
is the Father.
Is the everlasting Father. Mind blown.
Well, it's interesting to think of, like him being called Father, but one of the things already we've learned in doing a little prep work for this is that Father there means the originator or the author of. So in essence, what Isaiah is saying, he's an originator of everything that's eternal. He's an originator of everything that is everlasting. And so this message, and I think it'll be a good focus for New Year's Eve, which tends to have this feeling of fresh start or
right.
new
New year. I'm
going
to do something different in the new year.
Yeah. So this is the on the map there, it alludes to he has set eternity in the human heart. This is going to be a little bit of a vision casting, I think, message for. We were created for eternity. We were created for eternal purposes. And so what does it look like to live for eternal things and live with that focus moving forward and not just get so myopic on like what is right before me and what is the here and now and all of that. And so, not sure what the takeaway will be, but one thing as we were brainstorming this, we thought, it would be great to leave people with a tangible idea or even some kind of giveaway to help them remind them, of that eternal purpose. So if in your brainstorming, if anything comes to mind of a way that, people can walk out of this with something so that as they walk into the new year.
Yeah, maybe like a kazoo, like a noisemaker.
In your brainstorming, if you can think of something.
All right, yeah, no, I mean, I'm sorry, I thought I was solving it right here, but yeah, no, you're right. Someone else should brainstorm that.
Well, you can be included.
I can be a part of it? Okay, good. All right. Well, I'm a huge fan of kazoos. That's all I'm saying.
It could be the kazoo.
I mean,
cast a compelling vision for why.
Try to think of a less everlasting instrument than the kazoo. I mean,
So you're going for the opposite of what we're planning.
Right. All right. Well, that's plenty of that. I think it's going to be a great series, and like I said, I'm super excited about the song and being able to share that with our attenders. I think it's a great way to celebrate Christmas, but obviously this content is solid and will be really, really great for people to experience. So anything else I'm missing, Tammy?
Good stuff. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
I'm going to go ahead and let Belshazzar sign off for us.
Is this where I'm supposed to?
Hey, just let him talk.
Okay.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.